The Little Mermaid. Far out in the ocean and miles below the surface, two realms sat divided by sea mountains. On one side of the ridge lived a powerful sea witch, whose greedy heart cast a shadow over everything that tried to flourish. On the other side, the Merfolk kingdom shimmered with light. There, the Sea King and his four daughters dwelled in an elaborate coral castle. The littlest princess, Melody, possessed a beautiful voice, but she was not content to sing in the colorful choir of mermaids like her sisters. She had no interest in sitting still on a royal throne. Instead, Melody explored relics of sunken ships and invented stories about objects she had gathered from the wreckage. Once she discovered a curious figurine that looked a bit like her, but for two cloth sticks where its tail should be. Melody often wondered about the world beyond her home. Is it true that some ships glide atop the water instead of flying splintered beneath it? She asked her sisters, and that a ball of fire burns over the land. You and your daydreaming and silly stories, they huffed. Why concern yourself with the world above? Father forbids us to go there. The king had warned his daughters to stay close to home because the sea witch, who had been cast out of the kingdom, would someday seek revenge. The king had declared that an ancient sea turtle act as his youngest daughter's guardian, and that she should trust this wise creature to lead her through. So when Melody saw a turtle swimming up one day to take in the air, she decided to follow him. The little mermaid trailed the turtle until at last she burst through the water's surface. Ah, she exclaimed, how strange it felt for half of her body to be shivering in the early morning air while her tail remained warm below. But a fairly ball rising in the sky offered comfort. As waves crashed around her, Melody saw whales breaching, fish flying, and turtles bobbling in the foam. Beyond, they spotted a silver sand on the horizon. Moving closer, Melody saw a feature on the beach. To her astonishment, it had two cyclical legs, just like the dolls she'd found. Melody was so filled with wonder that she started to sing, and her voice carried on the wind. The figure turned and waved, a friend, Melody thought with joy. Just then, Melody felt a sharp tug on her tail. Her heart beat wildly until she was greeted strangely by the sea turtle. Though Melody longed to speak to the girl on the shore, she knew she must obey her guardian and return to her kingdom. Alone with her relics of the world above, Melody thought of the girl and her friendly smile. The girl could never come to the Sea Kingdom, of course, and Melody could never walk on the shore, perhaps. The only friends she would ever have would be those she imagined. So sad, isn't it? A voice hissed. Melody was startled to see a sea snake slithering in the mire. Here you go, stuck undersea. But the sea witch can help. Melody's eyes widened and terrifying thought. Do not fear, the sky creature persisted. The witch is not a monster, but a healer. Melody knew the princesses were forbidden to enter the witch realm. It would break her father's heart to learn she did betray him, and yet who really missed her when she explored? Who listened to her stories of the spectacular world above? No one, she thought. So the little mermaid followed the snake until suddenly the current caught and pulled them toward the churning dark void. In the heart of the sea witch's lair, the evil creature greeted Melody with a stare that burned through the depths. "You want legs, is that it?" the witch croaked. "Legs?" Melody thought of her doll. "Why, yes, I suppose. I just want a friend." "Ah, a friend. Well, what do you have to offer me?" the witch snapped. "I can give you one of my treasures," Melody began. "A compass, rope, sea glass." "You think I want your sea junk?" the witch roared. "No, I want your most precious gift." The sea witch filled a small bottle with potion. "I've heard the voice of yours. So pure, so majestic, so strong." The witch rasped, holding out a seashell towards Melody's lips. "You can have legs, my child, but I will have your voice." Melody shuddered. Her voice? She wouldn't be able to talk or laugh or sing. "Come here, child," the sea witch beckoned. "Sing for me, and your legs, your friend, your dreams, and all of it will be yours." Hesitating, Melody remembered the welcoming wave of the girl on the shore, the only one who seemed to care. "As you wish." Melody took the shell from the witch and began to sing her stories into it, the power of her notes rising with every breath. When she had no melody left, she passed the shell back to the sea witch, who pressed the bottle into the mermaid's hand. Once Melody had left the dark lair, she swiftly retrieved her cherished doll and escaped the surface out of sight of the sea turtle. And she emerged close to shore. She saw pearly disk hanging in the sky. That was surely one of the most beautiful things she had ever seen. She watched tiny turtles scurrying in the sands, birds flying overhead. "This is where I want to be," she thought. Taking a deep breath, she drank the potion down. As her scales fell away, Melody found it more difficult to swim. As she drifted toward the shore, at last she felt fine and scent against her skin and winced as a sharp shell cut into her foot. She was just starting to stand wobbly legs when she heard a girl's voice. "Hello," she said, smiling. "Stranger." "It's you, isn't it?" From out in the ocean, the girl reached with a steadying hand. "I'm Zion. What's your name?" Melody tried to answer, but no sound left her lips. Instead, she smiled back, shivering as the breeze whipped through the seaweed clinging to her body. "Here, you can borrow this to keep warm," Zion offered, wrapping her own shawl over Melody's shoulder. "Do you want to play? I'm chasing butterflies today." Together, the girls spent the day chasing insects and building sandcastles. Melody wanted to explore the shore rocks, caves, and Zion wanted to splash in the ocean waves. They did both until the sun started to lower in the sky. Though Melody could not speak, the two girls felt a surprising kinship. They both had a love of creativity and adventure. "You're the best friend I ever had," Zion confessed, and Melody's heart sank when she heard the word friend. Zion gazed intently at her now. "At first, I thought you were a mermaid, but that couldn't be. Where did you come from? Why can't you speak?" Melody retrieved the old doll that she had bought from the sea and showed Zion. Then she picked up the stick and began to sketch. A story in the sand, her fishtail, the doll, a girl waving, the sea witch, the seashell, and the potion. Zion grasped. "I was right, you were a mermaid." Finally, Melody illustrated the trade she had made for a human friend, Zion. She shook her head in disbelief. "You gave up your tail, your home, and your voice for me?" Melody nodded, and Zion threw her arms around her. "I have something for you too." Zion ran to her house and returned holding a glass jar with a strange object inside. It was a caterpillar, Zion explained, but it is growing wings and very soon it will fly land and sea. It's like magic. It reminds me of you. How extraordinary, thought Melody with wonder. An explorer like me. But Melody, Zion said quietly, you should have never given up your voice for anything. Remembering the bargain she had made, Melody spotted a seashell nearby like the one used to cast the spell. She put it wistfully to her ear, and to her surprise, a distant echo of her own voice resonated from inside, but now the sound was witchy, wild, and frightening. Then a different sound called to her from within the shell. The sea witch has risen. Come, came the voice of the sea turtle. Your family's in trouble. Come. What have I done? Melody thought, realizing the sea witch had used the power of Melody's voice to grow in strength and strike in revenge. Though Melody had no voice, she could still cry tears. She knew that to return would mean she would never walk on the land again and would perhaps lose her only friend. She passed the shell to Zion, who heard the warning and the summons. I understand you must leave, Zion said sadly, but I will always be your friend. Melody drew a long breath, dove deep, and kicked fiercely as she followed the sea witch's screeches towards the battle. Her sisters cried out to her, Father's strength is useless against the dark power. Melody watched in horror as the witch wrapped fat tentacles around the king's throat. Melody felt utterly helpless until she spotted the seashell that had cursed her hanging around the witch's neck. In the next moment, her guardian, the turtle, snapped the necklace free with his jaws. Melody snatched the flowing shell, and she felt the power of her own voice rising again. She shouted with the strength she never knew she had. No! The witch covered its ears as if in terrible pain, trembling and retching. It drifted down, 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 landing with one last grasp and on the sharp, brittle coral the witch had sucked the life from long ago. The spell was broken. Melody had found her true voice, a voice that no witch could imprison or silence. The little mermaid could breathe again, and when she tried to kick her legs, she felt her tail flip. She opened her mouth, and such a beautiful song came out of the coral, sprang back to life, and the sea snakes slithered far away and at the shore. Zion smiled as the stormy waters became calm once again. Her friend was safe. Now, Melody's family listened eagerly as she told them about the world of people, sand, trees, and things that fly. The Sea King knew that he could not contain the adventurous spirit of his littlest mermaid. Zion visited the shore when her treasure in the glass jar was fully transformed and released the butterfly for Melody. It soared over the sea when its message of change and hope, and far out in the ocean and miles below the surface, the merfolk dwelled in the kingdom of lights.